Hi Cancer, and welcome to your September 2024 horoscope. On September 2nd, we start off the month with Uranus going retrograde. Uranus will be retrograde until January of 2025, so you have quite a bit of time to reflect and go internal. For you, Cancer, Uranus is going retrograde in your 11th house. So you will be reflecting on whether you have successfully analyzed your long-term goals and gotten rid of any goals that weren't truly your own, any goals that were expectations from others or goals that others like those close to you or just in general society has set for you. Were there any goals that were there just because society thought it's something a successful human being does that you have realized shouldn't be there? So until January of 2025, you'll probably have this on top of your mind and be reflecting and thinking about it quite a bit. At the same time, on September 2nd, we also have Pluto finally entering back into the sign of Capricorn. It will be in Capricorn until November of this year, so not for very long, and it's also the last time Pluto will be in Capricorn for a very, 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 very long time. Pluto will be entering back into your 7th house, your house of one-on-one partnerships. And you might be reflecting, going a little bit more introspective as to whether you have truly stepped into your power when it comes to your partnerships. Where do you give your power away? Where do you maybe become too powerful with your partner and ask them to give their power away? So this might also be very much top of mind for you in the month of September. On September 3rd, there's a new moon in Virgo in your 3rd house. This means that perhaps you're starting a new relationship with a sibling, a new type of relationship with a sibling. Perhaps you are getting to know your neighbors a little bit better. But maybe you're also starting a new project when it comes to teaching or writing, because again, the 3rd house is the house of communication. There are 2 aspects during this new moon that definitely give it a certain flavor. One of them is a square between Mars and Neptune, and the other a conjunction between Venus and the South Node. With the square with Mars and Neptune, we are talking about your 12th and your 9th house. So it might be that there is a tension between your internal world and your beliefs that are perhaps making it difficult for you to get started, to start this new connection with your siblings and with your neighbors. It might be that there are certain beliefs you hold within yourself that are also making it difficult for you to put yourself out there, to start teaching or start writing. And then the second aspect, as we talked about, was the conjunction between Venus and the South Node. These 2 will be in your 4th house. Whenever we're talking about the South Node, we're talking about old habits that are no longer serving us, but that feel comfortable. And because this is in your house of family, there might be some old habits that you have in regards to your family or with your family, certain family dynamics that you need to break free from. And it might become really apparent on this new moon how they're holding you back from forming new relationships with your siblings and with your neighbors, how these old family dynamics are holding you back from stepping into this teaching role that you might want for yourself. On September 5th, Mars enters the sign of Cancer, or your 1st house. So for you, especially Cancer, this might feel a lot more gentle because Mars is leaving the 12th house and entering your 1st. So you might feel more energized, like you just have a bit more drive and a bit more ambition. And you might find it a lot easier in September to express yourself and stand up for yourself in a more courageous, warrior-like way. On September 8th, the Sun in your third house will end up opposing Saturn in your ninth house. This opposition might feel like the sort of restriction that you have, or the harsh realities that you're being faced when it comes to your beliefs and your lifestyle, are sort of at odds with all of this new work you've been doing around communicating more, around making your voice heard, around establishing relationships with siblings and neighbors. One of the ways that this could manifest is, for example, you find that you are expressing yourself a lot more. You're really sharing a lot more about yourself with your siblings, for example, and that might feel good to your ego. We're talking about the Sun, after all. You might start to feel much more confident and just much more lighter and powerful when you are communicating. But then, because the Sun is opposing Saturn, you might feel like you reach a harsh reality. You tell your siblings like, oh, I am going to get this new promotion, or I am going to have this new type of lifestyle. But then with Saturn in your ninth house, you might find that there's a block in the way. There is a block that is your lifestyle. Your lifestyle just doesn't permit for you to achieve this thing you're communicating about. Or the fact that you perhaps at this point cannot travel very far limits you in these big things you're communicating to your siblings. So there's some type of harsh reality coming your way. But honestly, this is quite a quick transit, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But you might still find that something's coming up around this day. Just a couple of days later, the Sun has moved a little bit further in your third house. And then on the 12th of September, it squares Jupiter in your 12th house. So even though this is an aspect with Jupiter, which is more friendly planet, it is a more tense aspect, the square. So it could be that there's a lot happening internally. There's a lot of considerations and thoughts and dreams and ideas in your mind that you're really working through. You might find yourself a lot more compassionate and more spiritually inclined with Jupiter in your 12th house. But perhaps that's a bit at odds with what you are communicating with those close to you. Perhaps you're not able to relay to them the newfound spiritual understandings in a way that they can understand. Perhaps the complexity of all of your thoughts and realizations are too grand to relay to them, or you try to, but they're just not able to grasp them quite fully. Later in the month, on September 16th, Mars, who, remember, at the beginning of September entered your first house, it ends up squaring the nodes in your 10th and 4th house. So there might especially be something in your career that is asking you to be courageous. You might be asked to really step up as a leader and to really set your boundaries and not to be codependent on others. During this period, you might also be asked to step away from maybe more of the comforts of your home, the comforts of your internal world, the comforts of the world within your safe walls, and to step into more of that scary, the scary world that is of work, that is, that happens outside of the door of your home, and to not be afraid to step into those more scary situations as well. Then on September 18th, we have our lunar eclipse. So yes, we are in our second eclipse season of 2024, and it's also the final eclipse season of this year. So we have this eclipse on the 18th, and then we have another one in October, which we'll talk about when that comes around. So this partial lunar eclipse is a full moon in the sign of Pisces. For you, Cancer, this is in your 9th house. So again, we see this focus on your beliefs, on your lifestyle, on you forming a grand vision for what you believe in and what you stand for in this life. And because it's a full moon, you might feel like there's a revelation or a new piece of knowledge, a new level of understanding in regards to your beliefs, in regards to the type of lifestyle that you want to live. It might be that you find a new course to follow or a new book to read that takes your understanding and your belief system to a way better and nicer level. This is a full moon in Pisces. Neptune is also really close by to the moon during the eclipse. So honestly, I do see this lunar eclipse as more of a dreamy one, as one where we're maybe imagining and dreaming a bit more about our beliefs and about our lifestyle, rather than necessarily taking a huge step towards it or something that's more tangible expression. And keep in mind, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're all in retrograde during the lunar eclipse. So overall, there is much more of this introspective, reflective energy. Because of that, I'm recommending to all of the zodiac signs to take time alone, to take silent time, go out in nature, spend time with your journal or in meditation to be able to access those insights a lot more easily. And even though Neptune is quite close by to the moon during the eclipse, it actually doesn't end up fully opposing the sun or exactly opposing the sun until a couple of days later on the 21st of September. So it might be that you continue to feel this lunar eclipse energy. It might be a bit more drawn out all the way up until the 21st. The next day, on September 22nd, it's time for Pluto to shine. Pluto has a couple of things to say. On the 22nd, Pluto has two aspects, a square with Venus and a trine with the Sun. Venus is in your 4th house, the Sun is in your 3rd house, and remember, Pluto, just at the beginning of the month, traveled back into your 7th house, your house of relationships. So there might be something happening with your family or within your home that is making it difficult for you to stand in your power in your relationships. You know, maybe there is, your family really needs you, and as a result, you end up not being able to show up as an equal partner. You might have to drop the ball a little bit and give your power away a little bit to your partner. At the same time, however, remember, we have a more supportive aspect with the Sun. We have that trine with Pluto. The Sun is in your 3rd house, so it might be that, while your family is maybe, those dynamics are maybe making it difficult for you to be an equal partner, that the dynamics with your neighbors and siblings are helping you establish that equal relationship with your partner, that the communication you've been practicing with your neighbors and siblings, it can be also applied and help you in keeping an even playing field with your partner. We're almost at the end. The second final aspect is on September 29th, when the Sun conjuncts the South Node. So we've had the nodes come up quite a bit during the month of September. And for you, Cancer, this is about the habits that you might have with your family, the dynamics you might have there, about the dynamics you might have to retreat to your safe space when things get difficult. And on this day, on September 29th, it might especially become apparent how that is holding you back. It might especially become apparent how some of these habits are only enjoyable for your ego. They're feeding your ego, but they're not helping you in any other way. And it might really become apparent to you how you need to get beyond them, how you need to do the thing that feels uncomfortable, but at the end of the day will help you much better. And we get to the final aspect of September, which is a trine between Mars and Saturn on September 30th. Mars is in your 1st house and Saturn is in your 9th house. Finally, we have a more gentle aspect with Mars. Remember earlier we had some more challenging ones, the square with the nodes, for example. But I think this is a nice way to close off the month because your beliefs and your lifestyle have been such a front and center focus, and it feels like we're rounding off the month with your leadership, with your the way you show up in the world, helping you, making it easier for you to form your beliefs, assisting you in some way. Maybe you'll show up in a sort of leadership position around this time, whether with your home, with your family. And as a result, it sort of unlocks a piece of the puzzle when it comes to your lifestyle, unlocks a piece of your belief system that maybe you were struggling with before, and just makes that part make a little bit more sense. We still have Saturn in your ninth house, so honestly, it's not all going to make sense until Saturn leaves that house. So don't get too optimistic, but this positive aspect with Mars will at least help a little bit. So overall, Cancer, in September, there's a lot of focus on communication. Perhaps you're hanging out more with your siblings and neighbors. And then, of course, you are addressing what habits or tendencies you might have with your family that are not serving you anymore. There's also your career on your mind, and of course your belief systems. Why are you here? What is your life philosophy? So definitely more large picture things to think about as well. Overall, though, I hope you enjoy September, Cancer, and I hope this horoscope helps bring some clarity for you. And I wanted to thank you for 1,000 subscribers. So we reached that, I believe, in August. So thanks to everybody who has subscribed. And Rosie Roses 85, you won the free giveaway. So make sure you reach out to me. Go to my channel, click on the community tab. You can reach out to me there so that you can claim your free reading. Thanks for watching, Cancer, and I hope to see you again soon.